Good morning, everyone. I'm Kathy Dawson. Welcome to Can You Relate, a show all about relationships. You know, there are so many issues in relationships and so many kinds of relationships. There's in-laws, couples, friends, family, coworkers. I know you can relate to this. This show is here to help. So we have a lineup of all kinds of people who are going to help you with your relationship. Some of the things you can look forward to is we have an engaged couple coming on. After that, we have a chef that's going to talk to you about how to cook food for your family. Then we have some special segments coming up. We've got the Romance Review, which is where I review books and restaurants and all kinds of fun things. Then we have a Get a Life segment, which is about getting up and making memories with people you love. And one of my favorite segments is Ask Coach Kathy, where you get to write in your emails and I will answer them on the air. And of course, they're anonymous. So as you can see, we have lots to do. So let's get started. So, welcome. We have this wonderful couple who is engaged, and your names are Danielle and Nikolai. Welcome. It's very exciting. You're just starting your life. Now, I have to wonder, when you're planning things, what would you think about planning? I mean, it could be a million and one things. We have somebody here who's going to help you. Craig Lindell from Lindell Insurance is going to help you talk about what do you have to look forward to. Now, tell me, Craig, what does insurance have to do with planning a couple's future? Look at this young couple.
Well, first things first, when people get engaged, the first thing that happens is you save up all your money for a ring.
Okay.
And then nobody thinks to call me and think about what could happen if something happens to the ring, if it gets lost, stolen, or damaged.
Okay, you obviously have a ring, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yes. And by the way, I want you to know I lost my wedding ring. Okay, and I did not have insurance, so I've been there.
And wedding rings are commonly covered on a homeowner's policy or a renter's policy. They look at the value of the ring and then get some coverage just in case something happens.
It's really smart, yes. Now, okay, so that's the ring. Now they're planning the wedding. What's that got to do with insurance? I've never heard of this. And I did not think about insurance when I was planning a wedding. Are you thinking about this?
No.
No.
Not at all.
There's wedding insurance.
And so now that you're engaged and you're planning your wedding, you've probably read the statistics that the average wedding costs upwards of $27,000. So,
are you kidding?
Exactly.
That's the average, so I can't imagine how the far end is.
So there's a policy out there that will help cover the deposits, the dress, rescheduling for severe weather, or things like that.
Or if, you know, in this economy, if somebody goes out of business, like, you know, yeah,
absolutely.
That's a great idea. Okay, so that's the wedding. So now they're married. Are they supposed to be thinking about anything else?
Yes. Now that they're married, the relationship grows, and they are dependent upon each other. Okay. So they have auto insurance, they've got their home insurance or their renter's policy, and they might have had different limits, or they need to meet with somebody like me to go over what kind of limits they need now that they're a joint couple and they're relying on each other all the time.
Are you taking notes on this?
Up here.
Up here, okay.
Yeah.
Now, it's hard to bring this up, but they're so young. To think about life insurance, I mean,
well, it makes me sound like a salesperson, but it's never too early to talk about life insurance.
Really?
You know, when you're depending on somebody else for the first time financially, you know, whether it's the house payment or the car payment or whatever else, it's good to think about what kind of income is contributing to the lifestyle in case it needs to be replaced for some tragic reason.
Yeah, you know, I'm 53, and honestly, I just got a life insurance policy, and the premium is so big. So now's the time.
Yeah, the earlier you get started, the cheaper it is.
Right. So if you know anybody who's engaged, you might be engaged, you might want to give Craig Lindell a call at Lindell Insurance. You can call him at 440-247-3750 or log on to LindellInsurance.com. We'll be right back.
Next, you know dinner together is important for keeping a family close, but who has time? We have a solution you may not have thought of. And later in the show, can you relate to your doctor? We'll tell you what makes this relationship work and when you should end it.
For those who struggle with drug and alcohol addiction, finding the courage to change is the first step to lasting recovery. Discover life in recovery. Discover Glen Bay.
Glen Bay, nationally recognized drug and alcohol treatment for adults. Discover more at glenbay.com.
So, personal chefs, they're not just for celebrities, they're for everybody. We've got Jeremy Gutow here cooking some chili with the secret ingredient. So tell me about being a personal chef. I know you don't like to be called that. You like to be called the guy in the kitchen.
Quite frankly, I'm not that pretentious. You know, a lot of people, when they hear the term private chef, they do think of Oprah or Bill Gates, people like that. I'm a guy in the kitchen. I come on in, I just sort of help out.
Okay.
I help a family, or I help older people, whoever needs help in the kitchen.
What kind of recipes do you make for people? Is it whatever they want, or do you come in with recipes? Or
most of my recipes are really catered to people who are either on weird diets, allergies. Everybody has allergies nowadays, or dietary restrictions of one type or another.
Okay.
A lot of people, I know that you are a vegetarian.
I am.
So a lot of people say, oh, I love lasagna, or I love spaghetti, or I love this, that, or the other thing. But I'm vegetarian.
Right.
So I personalize these regular casseroles or whatever to people's peculiar diets. Also, a lot of people are on weird medications nowadays too.
Now, if I were a vegan, could you do that as well?
Actually, this recipe, I'm making chili today, and this recipe is vegetarian, but I could personalize it to vegan.
Okay.
I've had a lot of vegans over the years. It makes my life a little bit more interesting, but I love the challenge, so I'm fine with that.
Now, you have a secret ingredient in here. What is this?
Chocolate.
Ooh, in chili?
I add chocolate to chili. It actually adds just a little bit of subtle flavor in the background.
Okay.
And you can't really taste it. If you actually, I say if you can taste the chocolate, you've added too much.
I see.
But it just sort of adds a little bit of complexity.
See, this wouldn't even get in the chili with me. Okay, I'd be eating it before I'd even get in there, but I can't wait to taste it. That's great.
It's very, very good. It really is. I also add some other unusual ingredients, but people do seem to like it very, very much.
Now, what if I want to hire you? Am I hiring you for like a long-term thing, or just a night, or how does that work?
I've had clients who have hired me for one occasion, like to go in and help a family out right after a funeral.
Oh, okay.
Also for a romantic dinner, for birthday parties, whatever. That gets into catering, and I'm not really a caterer as such, but I will do some of that sort of thing. Most of my clients are a year and a half.
That long, really?
I had one household that hired me. There was some cancer in the house, and they hired me to come on in and help out during the surgery and then during the recuperation.
Well, what a wonderful service you're providing for people.
And I felt very, very happy and satisfied to be able to provide that service. I really do.
Now, where do you go? I mean, what is the area you serve in Cleveland?
Well, I live in Cleveland Heights, and so I try to stay primarily in the Heights area, Cleveland Heights, Shaker Heights, South Cleveland. But there are actually a lot of private chefs around town. And so if somebody's in Bainbridge or whatever, I'm sure that they could put the word out and they could find private chefs who are in that area or the west side, so on and so forth.
I can smell the chocolate. Do I get to taste this?
Yes, I actually have some that's all finished.
Oh,
in fact, let me get some out right now.
Okay. Now, do you use dark chocolate or milk chocolate? Does it matter?
It does, because milk chocolate is a little bit too sweet for my taste.
Oh, okay.
But if somebody really, really likes that much sweetness, they can certainly add. Yes. However, if you add milk chocolate, you cannot take it vegan.
Oh.
Just be aware of that.
Oh, okay.
So let's just shift this a little.
It smells like we're making cookies instead of chili. That's really amazing how much chocolate's
Hopefully it's not that
in there.
sweet. Hopefully it's not that sweet.
No, I mean, I bet it tastes great.
Here you go. Try that.
Okay,
Try that
so now I'm going to blow on this because it's going to be really hot.
It's very, very hot. This is a wonderful stove. Reed Powerful.
That's really good.
Is it too hot for you? I mean, is it too spicy or is it okay?
No, I like it. But seriously, I can taste the chocolate in this. You would think that little chocolate and all that whole thing.
I did not add much, but it just adds a little complexity in the background.
Wow.
There's also, believe it or not, just a little bit of concentrated orange juice in this to add a little citrus flavor in the background. And so, you know, any food really can be personalized to any diet.
That's great. Well, you know what? If you need help with your family, and you have a situation where you just don't have time to cook, or like me, you don't really like to cook, you might want to call Jeremy, and you can log on to his email, jeremygutow@yahoo.com, or call you, at 932 0847.
That's 216.
216. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Kathy. I really enjoyed this.
We'll be right back.
Real communication includes talking and listening. So, what kind of listener are you? Are you a silent nodder who is actually not paying attention? Do you interrupt mid-sentence? Are you a solution and advice giver? Do you answer, yes, but? Or maybe you're a multitask listener. Do you actually think you can watch TV, read the newspaper, or check emails and listen at the same time? We don't think so.
If you answered yes to any of these questions, frankly, it's like you have a neon sign on your head that's flashing, I'm not listening. Do you know that listening is the most important relationship skill you will ever learn? And that 90% of the people out there, they don't really want solutions or advice. They just want you to hear them. There are basically 3 rules to listening. Number 1, if your jaw is moving, you can't be listening. It's not possible. Number 2, if you want to listen with your mind rather than your mouth. So in other words, if you have an agenda going on, set it aside. Number 3, listen with your heart and pay attention to the cues, the nonverbal cues that other people are giving you. So if you would like your mate to take this test, to take this survey, they can go online at CanYouRelateTV.com. And if you want to know about my other thoughts about listening, you can learn about them there. So we will be right back.
Up next, how to communicate in one of your most intimate relationships, you and your doctor. And later, you got the kids back in school, so why not get back to being a couple? We'll share great getaways that won't break your budget.
Craig and Mark Lindahl and Grange Insurance understand that life is a series of brushstrokes, large and small, moments from the everyday to the extraordinary. As you move through your world, let Grange Insurance and Lindahl Insurance put the finishing touches on an insurance plan to meet your needs. Having Lindahl Insurance and Grange handle your insurance while you stay in the moment. Now that's a stroke of genius.
So you tell him how you're feeling, and he doesn't really listen. So she tries to explain all this stuff to you, and you can't understand what she's talking about. What we're really discussing here is you and your relationship with your doctor. You know, we have someone here who is an expert on helping you really enhance your relationship with your doctor. Eddie Lee is here, and you are the director of the Center for Healthcare Communication. Welcome.
It's my pleasure.
Now, patient-doctor relationship, it almost feels like, it sounds a little weird, but like a marriage. I mean, would you say so?
Oh, it's absolutely like a marriage, and like a marriage or partnership, both people have to do some work, and people tend to think, well, my doctor's doing all the work, I don't have to do anything. But as patients, when I'm in the patient role, I've got work to do.
So, what is the patient role?
We've got a few things. For example, we need to just have a basic understanding of whatever illness we're dealing with, diabetes, heart disease, just a basic understanding.
Okay.
Because doctors like patients who are educated. And also, before we go in, think about what you want to say, and then once you've thought about it, communicate it clearly. For example, if you've been sick for a few days, say something like, well, Monday I was feeling this, Tuesday I was feeling this, Wednesday I was feeling this.
So are you saying we should like document stuff before we actually go in there, like take something written down? Would that help?
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely, because we want to, just like with any other relationship, clear communication.
Okay. Now, is there anything as a patient that I might do that might wreck the relationship?
Oh,
or
yes.
hurt it?
Yes.
Okay.
Being demanding. And what I mean by that is, for example, the common cold. The common cold is a virus. Antibiotics won't help. And what physicians tell me, when I train and coach them, people will come in and say, I want an antibiotic, I want an antibiotic, but they know it's the common cold and an antibiotic won't help. And some physicians just give them an antibiotic just to get them off their case. And the problem with that is they're getting a medication they don't need, which could have side effects.
Right. And
then there's also something else. Like in all relationships, be honest. For example, if you're talking to your doctor about alcohol and you know you're drinking a lot of alcohol, and you say, oh, I only have 1 beer a night, when you're really having 3 to 4 beers.
Okay.
Just like any relationship, you have got to be honest.
You've got to be forthcoming.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so what do you do if you think, you know what, this is not going well, I'm not comfortable with the doctor, I really want to sever the relationship? I mean, it's hard to sever a relationship when you're, you know, with a boyfriend or girlfriend. It's just as hard with the doctor.
Oh, I've had to break up with 2 doctors.
Really?
Yeah, what happened, it was nearly a decade ago, I started having some abdominal problems. I kept going to my doctor, oh, nothing's wrong with you, nothing's wrong with you. So I switched doctors. Something was very wrong with me. I had stage 3 colon cancer.
Really?
Yes, and a new doctor discovered it, and fortunately, I'm doing well now.
You look good.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. And after my diagnosis, of course, I saw an oncologist. I only saw this first one twice. He was not what you call a good communicator.
Okay.
On one visit, and he never discussed prognosis with me, but he gave me hints. He once said to me, is there a place you've always wanted to travel to? Now's the time to go. Yes,
he did not say that.
Yeah, and I thought, once they start talking about trips, that's bad.
Oh, yeah.
So I got a new oncologist, and she was wonderful, just wonderful.
That's
so
great.
sometimes you have to know when the relationships become toxic.
Okay.
And these were toxic relationships.
Boy, it sure sounds like it. Wow, I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that before, nor have I heard a story like that. So did you start doing what you're doing because of the experience that you had? I mean, now you're helping so many people, and I'm guessing it's because of what you went through.
Yes, as a result of my experience, and I do have a background in healthcare, I decided I'm going to focus on helping healthcare professionals communicate with patients and help patients communicate with healthcare professionals.
Wonderful. Eddie, thank you for being here.
It's been my pleasure.
If you want to enhance and really grow your relationship or end it with your doctor, give Eddie Lay a call. Again, he's the founder of the Healthcare Communication Center, and you can get a hold of Eddie at 440-338-3056 or go on communicatingwithpatients.com. We'll be right back.
Just ahead, your hectic fall family schedule is up and running. Well, we've got ways you can wind down in just a weekend for just you and your mate. Then, Kathy shares how to avoid being on the outs with your in-laws.
Okay, this is one of my favorite segments. This is the Romance Review, where I will be reviewing movies and restaurants and books. And this week I have reviewed a movie that's coming out, a Warner Brothers movie that comes out October 8th. It's called Life as We Know It. It's with Katherine Heigl and Josh Duhamel, and I think it's adorable. It's about 2 people who meet each other and they can't stand each other, but they get thrown together because of their godchild. Well, unfortunately, the godchild's parents die, so anyway, they end up having to raise this kid, and of course, they fall in love. It's a great date night movie, and I highly recommend it. So we have some free passes for you. If you go on Facebook or Twitter, there's going to be a screening at Valley View Cinema this Monday, October 4th at 7:30. So join us at CanYouRelateTV.com, and we'll see you on Facebook and Twitter. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, Murray Plasko from Fashion Floors, here to remind you that Fashion Floors has a wide selection of carpet and the newest and hottest in hardwood flooring. Plus, we have the very latest in green products like bamboo and cork. Think big, save big, get 12 months same as cash. Call or come see us today.
Join in as Al's Deli celebrates its 5th anniversary. Nestled in downtown Cleveland's 55 Erie View Plaza building, Al's Deli serves breakfast, lunches, delicious Middle Eastern dishes, and has catering too. Al's Deli, a hidden treasure for your tummy. Log on for money-saving coupons today.
Okay, school's in, the kids are in school. Now you and your mate can finally get out and do something alone together. We've got Lexi Hotchkiss here from Positively Cleveland to talk about all the fun things, especially during this season, that we can do as a couple. So tell me, what's the first thing you're thinking about?
The first thing we're thinking about is you're away from the kids, and I don't know about you, but the first thing I think about, wine. That said, you know, Lake and Ashtabula counties are filled with all kinds of wineries and vineyards, and it's so romantic, and fall is the perfect time of year to head out there.
Dick and I just went for the very first time this last summer. We went to Ferrante's.
Awesome. Ferrante, Debonnaire, Grand River Cellars, those are the big ones. That's right. There's a new one up there called Benevino that is a new urban winery. You've got another one called South River Winery, and that's actually in an old church.
I went to that one too. That's very cool. And Harpersfield.
That's right.
Yes.
There's tons of them up there.
Yes, that's a lot. And sometimes they have bands. The one we went to had a band.
And a lot of them have events too. And actually, the Ohio Wine Producers Association actually have a list of different trails that you can go on. If you go to ohiowines.org or tasteohiowines.com, you can look at all different maps, and you can go on driving tours and learn about different events. And they're not just on the east side, they're also on the west side. So if you're an east sider, head out to the other side.
There are wineries on the west side?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Absolutely. Geneva, Vermilion, Norwalk, Avon, when you head out more towards Lake Erie Shores and Islands. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so wineries is one idea. Now, how about if you want to go out and just get fresh air, you know, and do something outside?
That's right. There are adventuresome couples. I'm not one of them, but there's plenty to do if you are.
Okay.
The Ohio Towpath is such a great fun thing to do for couples that love to be outside, and that offers a really unique bike path that goes from Independence down to Akron. And the nice thing about it is that if you're biking along and it starts to rain, or maybe you're exhausted, you don't want to go the rest, or you don't want to go the way back, you can actually hop on the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railway
and stick your bike on there.
That's right. Stick your bike on there, and for $2 you're back to your original location. That runs April through October, and it's really cool. And the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad is really interesting because they'll offer wine and beer events as well. So even if you don't have the biking aspect to it, you can enjoy a glass of wine or learn about beer while you're on this train that goes through the Cuyahoga Valley National Park.
Okay, what if you want to do something more urban?
Urban, that's my favorite. My husband and I do that all the time. A lot of people work downtown, but they live in the suburbs. Why not stay downtown for a weekend and stay at a luxury hotel?
We need people to be doing that.
Well, you're right.
Yes.
And based on our studies, we've done a couple of studies, and Cleveland is about 30 to 40% of the cost is less than the cost of going to places like New York or LA or Boston. So when you stay overnight at a place like the Ritz-Carlton, in fact, I checked it for this weekend, it's $239 a night for a nice king bedroom at the Ritz-Carlton in Cleveland. $895 at a room in New York City.
Way!
So absolutely, you're getting this total Ritz experience. You know, you can go to these luxury hotels and you're spending a fraction of the price.
Wait, eight something for one night in New York?
For one night.
Okay, that's crazy.
Absolutely, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
And then downtown's just got a plethora of all kinds of fun activities. You've got Playhouse Square. They offer smart seats now, so for $10 or $20 you can go and see a really cool new show. And then restaurants galore. So
don't you love Cleveland?
Of course I love Cleveland.
Thank you so much for being here. There is no excuse not to get out. Seriously, there is so much to do here. So if you want to know more about it, Lexi Hotchkiss, you can go to positivelycleveland.com and it's all there. All right, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Coming up next, are your in-laws intrusive? Well, Coach Kathy gives advice on how you can protect your privacy. And on next week's show, we'll help you dress for success in your relationship. We'll reveal why what you wear says how you feel. Next week on Can You Relate with Kathy Dawson.
And we have another one of my favorite segments. It's called Get a Life. This is about getting up, getting out, getting off the couch, and making memories with the people you love. So each week, I will be pointing to this wonderful Get a Life board that has all different kinds of ideas. And this week, I'm going to pull off an idea. It's Segway rides. Now, my husband and I did this 2 weeks ago. April and Bob from Tomorrow's Transport were so kind to let us have a ride, and they took us around the North Chagrin Reservation. It was a gorgeous day, and it was just fun. I'll tell you what, you don't sweat. It's really great. You know, when you're on a bike and you're riding, you're sweating, you're distracted. I mean, it's good exercise. But this, you stand there on this motorized thing, and it just takes you all around, and you get a chance to really look at everything. It was a great fun. Now, the idea here is we're going to ask you to send your ideas in on how you get a life in Cleveland. Whatever it might be, you can email us at info@canyouRelate.com, and when we receive it, you may have a chance to win 2 free Segway rides. It's going to be major fun. We'll be right back.
Craig and Mark Lindell and Grange Insurance know that when you're out there doing what you do, the last thing you want to worry about is sketchy claims coverage from a cut-rate insurance company. When you go with Lindell Insurance and Grange, you're working with companies that use big, bold brushstrokes when it comes to claims and make an art of working out even the smallest details to make everything perfect. Contact Lindell Insurance or visit their website.
You know, one of the things that I do a lot as a relationship coach is I answer people's questions about relationships. So this segment is called Ask Coach Kathy. This is your chance to email in your questions and I will answer them on the air. Now, of course, they're anonymous. Here's one of the questions that one of our viewers wrote in. My husband and I have been married almost a year. We are happy, except for the stress his parents put on our relationship. They stop by our house unannounced at least twice a week. I feel we have no privacy. What do we do? Okay. Relationships are all about setting boundaries. Now, I realize these are your parents, they're your in-laws. You're not used to doing this, right? You've been growing up used to saying yes to them, trying to please them most of the time, and now they're adults, you're adults, you're going to have to set boundaries. So the first thing you need to do is tell them how much you enjoy it when they stop by, but you'd like them to either stop by after giving you advance notice of an hour maybe 24 hours, whatever works for you, but absolutely set the boundary, nip this in the bud, okay? So that's my answer for this week. Now, thank you for joining us. And next week, we've got all kinds of things because we want you to come back, of course. I want to give you a little heads up on that. Next week, we're going to be talking about 3 tips to be a better mom. And we're going to have a fashion show. We're going to talk about what do you do when you're running all over the place throughout the week and you want to be comfortable, but you do want to look nice for your partner. And we're going to have someone come in and talk about some very special neighbors in our neighborhood. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next week on Can You Relate?
Want to learn more about today's topics? Suggest segments? Add your input. You can do all of this and more at CanYouRelateTV.com. Can You Relate with Kathy Dawson is presented by CK Media Productions.